Welcome to the Moon Magic Tarot channel. Thank you so much for joining me. Oh, we have card number 1 already. In today's readings, we are asking your higher self, what do you need to do right now to move your situation forward? So this is applying to any situation. We're going to draw 3 cards with a rune and a charm as well to guide you in. And really, I think if you sit with the situation or the question or the circumstances in your mind while we are looking at the cards, if there's more than one thing going on and you're not sure how to move forwards in more than one thing, I would suggest focusing on one at a time and seeing which reading you're drawn to. You may find it's a different one for different things. So let's have a look and see. These are our cards. Okay. So, reading number 1. You have blessing to begin. Okay. Reading number 2. The slave dances into freedom. Wow. These are very powerful cards. And reading 3. She rides with wild spirit unbroken. Wow, beautiful cards, beautiful energy. Already sitting with all 3 readings, we're asking your higher self, what do you need to do right now to move your situation forwards, whatever that may be. Okay. Okay, we have 3 runes. So, reading number 1, you have the rune of separation, Othilla. Reading number 2, you have the rune of disruption. And reading number 3, you have the rune of movement. Let's draw a charm as well for those of you who like to have that little bit of extra guidance. Reading 1. Ooh. Look at this, you have the skull. A little skull. I'm not sure if this is a sheep or a cow, but nevertheless, very interesting energy. Wow, I'm just looking at the imagery here, of course. Look at this. Wow. We have reading number 2. We have the horse. And reading number 3. We have the music notes, treble. It's not a treble clef, is it? It's just notes, music notes, but nevertheless. Very interesting. So we have music. Now, Super Souls, I will leave the video just running for a few moments for any of you who are not yet sure which of the readings you are being tuned into. Take your time. You can always press the pause button as well. And yeah, I'll put the timestamps in the information box below, and I'll put them in the comments for phone users too. Super Souls, thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you in the readings in just a moment. Reading number 1, welcome. You have been drawn by the card Blessing to Begin. We have the rune of Othilla, separation, and also this little skull. I'm so struck by the imagery here. We have this, I'm not sure, I mean, it's like a wild cow or a wild, I don't know if it has a particular name, of this kind of beautiful animal that lives wild somewhere like Tibet, I would imagine. A mountain, like a mountain cow of some sort, but the skull is very aligned here. There's a transition here, like a rebirth. Separation is a rune of inheritance, where through the letting go of something, we then gain something amazing. Now, we are asking your higher self today, what do you need to do right now in order to move a situation forwards? any situation. So we'll draw some oracle cards first, Super Souls, and see what we are shown. This is the one. And I think we're going to dive straight in with one of the tarot packs as well. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, Super Souls, let's have a look and see what we have. So we have, this is very interesting, look at these horns again. Opposition, confrontation. And yet you are being given a blessing to begin. Very clearly a blessing to begin. Your Rumi cards, ripening. You have the card of ripening. And the source. I have seen both worlds and call them one. My place is the placeless, a trace of traceless. I am not the body, I am not the mind. I am the source of life itself. Very, very interesting cards you have here. Reading number 1. You have the 8 of Wands. You have the 10 of Swords. You have the Emperor. You have the Page of Wands. This is very, very interesting. Your cards are very interesting. We will be drawing more, reading number 1. But let's first of all look at what we are being shown right here and right now, just with the cards alone. A situation of real challenge for you has now actually come to an end, and I'm thrilled that it's come to an end. Now, in these readings, we're asking about any situation. Okay, we have said, you know, we're asking, what do you need to do right now to move this forwards? What we're being shown here is that a situation that challenged you beyond belief has now come to an end. It's come to its natural conclusion. And interestingly enough, I feel as though even if it was really, really hard to let go of it, there's like quite a paradox of energy here, reading number 1. So I feel on the one hand, it was one of those endings where there wasn't really any choice. It sort of had to happen, but it was really difficult. Something has come to its natural completion, literally like a ripening, where it arrives at a point of no return. And you are aware of that. I think you're quite philosophical in a way. It's really interesting. You're quite philosophical because it was so challenging. I feel like there's a little bit of paradoxical energy. You've been a bit torn. It's been very hard for some of you to leave this behind. And, you know, the process of that parting, of that leaving, of that moving on, the recognition it could go no further. It came to its natural completion, its ripening. It just couldn't go any further. That was simply how it is. But it really did challenge you. The process of it has challenged you. You're now in a space where it is time to begin again. It's time to empower yourself. It's actually time to take charge. That's what this reading is saying. Blessing to begin. This card also invites you to ask for help. You know, reach out and ask for help. I think I think you know in yourself that it's time for a new beginning. I'm going to draw more cards actually, reading number 1 already. I feel that I'm really needing more information. I'm seeing, very interesting, because I feel like I'm almost sitting on feels like a tightrope. it's that sort of sense about this reading for you, that it was very challenging. It had to come to an end. You know it had to come to an end. It was the right thing to happen. In one way, you're very philosophical, and yet in another way, it's been very, very hard to let this go. And interestingly enough, I think for some of you as well, it kind of drew you into a space of what I would call self-reliance, or even threw you back into a place of self-reliance, or created a place of self-reliance where you felt that you couldn't reach out. For some of you, this is a generic reading, and we're asking about any situation, but there's something of this situation that caused you ultimately to feel kind of isolated in a strange way. It will be different for you each. Now, it came to its natural completion, and it is time for you to walk forwards, not back. We're being shown this incredibly clearly here. In terms of your higher self, you know, suggesting, or, you know, we're asking your higher self, what do you need to do? Your higher self is actually saying to you, it's actually time to leave the challenge behind, okay? It's time to leave the conflict of the situation. You know, the kind of stuff where we go over and over it, the stuff of our mind. We'll draw more cards for this, but I feel like you're being asked, there's quite a division here. I sort of feel that we've got two bits of a reading here. You know, on the one hand, there's it's like stepping away from the residue of what left you feeling not okay. That it's time, there's a turning point. That's really where you are now. You are at a turning point, and it is time to leave something behind, kind of like pull yourself back together almost, actually take charge. You know, your higher self is saying, look, this is now absolutely over. And it did kind of need to happen. It wasn't doing anyone any good. You know, it's now time to really hold, it's time to sort of hold and embrace the source energy of the spark of moving forwards, to regroup, to rethink about. I mean, I almost feel as though that there was maybe whatever it was that left your world. I think you genuinely believed it was there to stay. That's the real message here. You believed that it was here to stay. There was a sense of permanence about it. And part of the challenge here, the confrontation, the very nature of it, is because you had expected it to be permanent. You thought it was here to stay, whatever that situation is for you. Whether it's a person, you know, whatever it is, or a circumstance, or a job, or a house, whatever. You thought it was permanent, you thought it was here to stay, and it gave you a profound amount of, it wasn't just a potentially confrontational situation, there was confrontation within you. There's been confrontation between, almost like I almost want to say the living and the dead, you know, between the sort of, the letting go of something and the holding on to something, that process. It's been really, really challenging for you. Your higher self is saying that's over now. It's time to draw a close here, to close that chapter, to move beyond. Philosophically, it's like in your kind of soul, you actually know that. And in a way, there is actually a liberation in this now. At this point in time, there is a liberation to be had from moving on. But and this is what your higher self is voicing as well. You don't have to give yourself any more confrontation over this. You know, it's like that bit's done now, okay? It reminds me of, and this may be relevant to some of you, I think if you are going through a process of, let's say you're going through a process of bereavement. Now, I would voice that there is always a process of loss whenever we leave anything behind. You know, obviously, if we lose someone in a real bereavement, it's huge. It's just huge. And you know, super souls, for any of you for whom this applies, my heart goes out to you, especially if you lost somebody who you thought you weren't going to lose. It's really, really hard to process that experience. It really, really is. But there is a point when it's like life will come knocking on your door again, and you need to find the courage to let it in. And that time is now. The time is ripe for you to regroup. And in a way, the challenge then emotionally is that we can, I mean, if I'm going to use bereavement just as an example, but we can really, really know that we need to start moving forwards and back into life. We need to change. We need to embrace a different pathway and reinvest in being alive. But it's almost as though when we start to take those steps, a part of us can sort of withdraw back into the confrontation. It's almost like we then sort of, it's like going out and having a good time and then feeling really guilty and feeling as though we shouldn't be having a good time because it's dishonouring the person we've lost. That's the kind of, there's an energy around this, and there's a conflict. Actually, the way to honour any situation of the past is actually to embrace life fully. But you've had confrontation, you've had difficulty with this, and the turmoil, not only was there turmoil and difficulty within the ending of something, and that won't be a bereavement for all of you, but for some I think it will. But it will also be about, you know, knowing it's time to embrace the way forwards and take responsibility, really step up, become your own hero or heroine. It's like opening the door of freedom, of liberation. And it doesn't mean you're dishonouring anything of the past. It means you are truly, truly saying, you're honouring what took place, whatever that was, whether you've left a job, a person, or there's some aspect of loss involved here. It's time, the timing is absolutely perfect for you to embrace what I think you know. You know, I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am the source of life itself. It's time to embrace some aspect of aliveness again. Okay, really, really powerful message coming through here. Now we're going to draw from another tarot pack, possibly even a couple actually, and we'll be asking your higher self if we can have more information for reading number 1 about, you know, what they need to do right now. Is there information, guidance around taking these first steps potentially, or even following something through? What are we being shown? Okay, I think we take 1, 2 and 3. And I will of course put the names of the cards in the information box as well, with any other information for you guys. 2 and 3, this card here. Okay. And lastly, we'll draw from the Art of Manifestation pack 2. Just 1. Okay, so let's have a look and see what we're shown. Choices and decisions. Ah, this is making some sense already. The choices that we make today are defining the shape of our tomorrow, and so it's hardly surprising that we sometimes worry about making the right decisions. Do not shroud your mind in the fog of uncertainty. Just as you have choices today, you also have choices tomorrow and the day after. Be assured that you can always change course again. There's like a fear around you of, gosh, if I dare to let go, will it go wrong again? It's almost like it's got that sort of flavour to it here. Let's have a look at these cards. We have the World. Beautiful, beautiful energy. What an affirmation. Ace of Cups and 4 of Swords. Super, super souls. Oh, this is so interesting. So let's just have a look at this first. So your first card, 4 of Swords. We then have the Ace of Cups and the World. This is such an invitation for you to rejoin the world. Okay, This is such an invitation. A part of you, I feel like there's this, just as there was a paradoxical kind of energy around, and this confrontation, even within you, there's like this sort of dilemma between, you know, what do I actually do? How do I do this? Do I, you know, what if I make the wrong decision? Or what if I step forwards and it all goes horribly wrong? Or, you know, there's such a debate now going on. I'm seeing this, and it's almost getting to the point where I think you could sort of flake out through the exhaustion of procrastination, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? When you just, we can go over and over and over and over things to the point where we don't actually do anything because we're just procrastinating and we're going through all the what ifs, and we just like keel over in the end. I mean, I sort of feel like there's this sort of, oh, can I really do this? This is just, but it's not a can I really do this because I'm tangled in what used to be. This is a can I really do this because I'm, you know, I'm deliberating about it far too much. Okay, this is what we're really seeing here. I'm going to move these cards up here. Your higher self is saying, with great kindness, I would add, great kindness, reading number 1, your higher self is saying, look, come on, you know, life is for living. Okay, the world is your oyster. You know, this amazing new beginning, this, you know, your cup could overfloweth. Literally, it's like there's this amazing potential available to you. Stop procrastinating. The timing is right. Whatever decisions you make, they're going to be amazing because they will put you back into a space where you are living and alive again. I want to say, if an opportunity is knocking on your door, seize it. Okay, that is one of the messages here. What do you need to do right now to move this forwards? Right now, your higher self is saying, stop procrastinating. Stop worrying about whether something is the wrong or the right decision. If an opportunity presents itself, seize it, take it, embrace it. Wow, what do we have here? What do we have here? We have the Six of Wands, which is ultimately a card of victory. We have the card of death. This is the card of death and rebirth, transformation, the emergence. And we have the Ace of Wands as well. This is a card of victory. It's like, stop procrastinating. This is the advice. What do you need to do right now? Stop procrastinating. If an opportunity is opening, so let's say a friend phones you up and says, hey, do you fancy going out for a drink tonight or something, or someone or something pops up randomly in your inbox and you think, oh, I quite like to do that, but I haven't done it for a long time, or, you know, whatever it is, don't procrastinate, do it. That's really saying, that's what's really saying is being saying here. Say, I'll just start saying all that again. I'm getting really tongue-tied. It's all, which is really interesting because I think everything in a reading is relevant. I feel like it's almost like my brain and my mouth are getting into this confrontation, this conflab going on where it's you know, brain sort of scramble. Right. Stop brain scrambling. Stop worrying about what is right and what isn't right. If a doorway opens, walk through it. Test the waters. You can't go wrong because you can always say no afterwards. Check it out. Discover. Find out. The process of your emergence into the world, your re-emergence, is about giving yourself absolute permission, reading number 1, to re-enter the world and test the waters, to try on things for size, to do something new, to do something different, to step out of your comfort zone. No more lethargy that's tangled in your mind. This is of the past. And it's time for new beginnings. The world is potentially your oyster. I love here that we have yet again this beautiful, I'm going to say bull. I'm not sure if it is actually a bull. But it's like, here we have this imagery again, the snake of transformation. It's time. It's really time. Really, really time to let something go and move forwards. Now, if that letting go is less of a circumstance and more of a mindset, which I guess for some of you it could be, what I would say, it's still really important to let it go and leave it behind and not tangle yourself in this. I actually do think for most of you really, something very big happened that created an ending and a separation. And I genuinely believe you had a sense of permanence around it. You didn't know that that was going to happen. You didn't know it was going to end. You thought it would continue. But it's left, it's happened, and it's now time to re-enter a new phase of the world. And this is about, yeah, literally taking charge. Whatever knocks on your door, be prepared to open the door. Wow, wow. Reading number 1. I feel I might just draw some more runes for you to finish up this reading. Okay. So we have the rune of gateway, we have the rune of openings, and we have the rune of nourishment, possessions. Okay, this is lovely. The rune of gateway is gorgeous. It's a time of, well, do you know, it's a time of gratitude, actually. The rune of gateway invites us to sort of metaphorically climb to the top of a mountain, sit still. The Four of Swords is often a card that reminds me of the gateway, because it is a pause point. I think in this instance it looks like you're totally flaked out, because there's just been there's been a lot going on, but now you're getting into that internal conflict. But you know, clarity can come here. Press the pause button, climb, you know, victory. This is a card of victory, so it's gorgeous. You know, you can't, whatever you do, I feel like whatever you do, it's going to be a win-win situation as you step into the world. The rune of gateway says, press the pause button, walk to the top of that metaphorical mountain and look back. Look at everything you gained from this whole scenario, from this whole situation, every aspect of the celebration of all that you had, even though it's come to an end. Sit in a space of gratitude for all that you were given, and then step through the gateway. It's almost like there's a need to shift that mindset from loss and, gosh, I didn't know that was going to happen, or it shouldn't have happened, or it's not fair, all that kind of stuff, into a space of, I am so grateful for all that I actually had, which is where we can move our mindset into a space of celebration. I'm now going to honour what I'm leaving behind by embracing life to its fullest. The rune of openings is exactly that. It's coming out of a space of fog and a lack of clarity. It's like the mist rises, we can see clearly, and the direction becomes clear. Openings take place. The rune of nourishment, possessions, this is unexpected rewards, gains, surprises, ambitions satisfied. The irony is that in letting go of something that you thought might be permanent, it actually is going to open a gateway to something that something that's actually right for you, but you would have been quite content with what you had, but this situation, this ending, is going to, ironically enough, ultimately create an opening for something that is really, really right for you. It's an aspect of your pathway. And I know that this transition has been absolutely huge for some of you, but this is really right now for you to move forwards. It's right for you to step into a new phase of your world, to finally separate and leave something behind. Get out there. If a doorway, whoever knocks on your door, whatever knocks on your door metaphorically, look back, be grateful for everything in the past, and step through that doorway. You know, not open it and let it in, and then off you go. Beautiful, beautiful reading. Reading number 1. So in answer to our question, what do you need to do right now to move this forwards? The answer is literally to do this, to honor the past, and yet simultaneously stop procrastinating. Be prepared to step out of your comfort zone. Seize every opportunity, big, little, small, medium-sized, whatever. Embrace it, knowing that you have choices and decisions within those situations you're stepping into, and knowing that the pathway is being opened up for you, that is moving you into an element, literally ambitions fulfilled, of some aspect of your world that actually will need to you know, become a new phase of ripening, something that will come to fruition and will literally you know, I do feel that you will have some aspect of the world in your hands that you have actually been ideally dreaming of, even if you thought you had lost it. Something will arrive in a different shape or form to the one you originally thought, but it's coming. Super Souls, if this has resonated with you, do subscribe, press the little bell icon. That way you should get any of my readings coming through into your stream. This is a timeless reading. I'll be putting it into my timeless readings playlist, and I post readings every Sunday with weekly guidance, looking at what's happening in, you know, right here and right now in your world. There's always 3 readings to choose every Sunday. I post a moon forecast on Fridays as well, with the lunar energy throughout the coming week. So Super Souls, do check those out. I also have a prize draw. I give away a free private reading and a pack of the Art of Manifestation Oracle cards. That's a subscriber offer, so if you are subscribed, add yourself to my subscriber email list, and you'll then be in that draw forever. Ongoing, my colleague draws the names out of a hat. Super Souls, it's really, this is your time to step back into life again. So, you know, your higher self is really honouring where you've come from, but also honouring the opening of new opportunities for you. And I think lastly but not leastly, thank you for joining me, everyone. And I just want to say thank you so much to all of you who are supporting me via Patreon. I really, really appreciate your support. I put a ton of free stuff into the world, including a whole library of resources to help with many things like bereavement, loss, transition, emotions. I'll put the link as well into the information box. Do check that out if what we've been speaking about today has been relevant to you. It's a free resource. It will always be free, but thank you to those of you who are supporting me. Really helps to keep all these things up and running. And thank you so much to those of you who've also given back through the super thanks in the comments. I really, really appreciate your support. And actually, just, you know, thank you all of you just for being a part of this amazing community. I am sending you so much love. Super Souls, this is the time for you to step up into the world. There is a whole new chapter of life waiting for you, just waiting for you, and your higher self is 1000% behind you in actually moving this forwards. So much love to you all. Welcome, reading number 2. Thank you so much for joining me. So you have been drawn to The Slave Dances into Freedom. We have a horse, which is really interesting. I'm very much reminded of fight or flight mechanisms here as we have this charm. And Hagalaz, this is the rune of disruption. And Hagalaz sometimes actually does literally suggest that you're in a situation where you are feeling like you need to break free from something. I love this card. It's like a ticket to something, a ticket to freedom, a ticket to liberation is being given here. Really interesting energy here. So let's draw some more cards and see what we are shown for reading number 2. So we're asking your higher self, what do you need to do to move yourself, there's our card, forwards, to move your situation forwards right now. Whatever the situation, whatever that may be. think we'll draw some tarot cards as well. When do I see this one? Okay, let's have a look and see what we have. So, transits, climate. Gosh, this is climate change. Okay, I feel like some sort of situation, I know we haven't got very far into our cards yet, but I feel like there is some kind of a situation that has basically not been okay. You've been feeling either trapped, stifled. What this reading is saying is, do you know, someone is about to hand you a ticket out of here. There's going to be an opportunity coming to you. See what else we are shown. Disillusionment and devotion. Okay, so we see the card of devotion. Disillusionment. Out beyond right and wrong there is a desert. The desert beckons us as if it were the oasis. We long to hold one another in its lush grass and drink from the clear spring. But in that desert of disillusionment, just as with right and wrong, you and I and even oneness cease to exist. Okay, I can really see where this reading is going. Okay, now let's just have a look at our other cards first before I move forward. Yeah, Three of Swords, Page of Pentacles, you have Knight of Wands, you have Ten of Swords, and Four of Wands. Okay. Do you know, for some of you, I want to say I feel like you've got a little bit trapped inside your own head. Okay. Now, whatever the cause of that, whatever the cause of it, it's like, yeah, there's transition going on around you. That's absolutely for sure. I'm seeing significant changes. It's almost like, it reminds me actually, my younger sister, who is an amazing astrologer. I bless every day for the fact that I grew up with her, because, you know, what I know of astrology, I don't claim to be an astrologer, but I'm passionate about the moon. For those of you that know me, you'll know me from following my stuff. But having grown up with a really good astrologer, it's kind of like a second language, you know, and I love the way she talks sometimes. She says, you know, when we have a really big outer planet transit going on, you know, these are the big slow moving energies, and they actually ultimately bring about really big significant changes in our lives, but they happen over quite a drawn out period of time. And we can get quite entrenched in the energy sometimes. And she says, you know, what they tend to bring up are situations that kind of feel out of our control. But there will be something really important in the center of that to learn from. I feel like you've got tangled in something whereby there's a real disillusionment within you that is beginning to colour, it's colouring your attachment to where you are, and it's, so rather than it, it's like you could end up going around in circles. It's colouring, I wouldn't say colouring your attachment, but it is. It's almost like you're being asked to step away from any form of judgment of wrong or right. Now, some of you, I think, may just be totally picking yourselves to pieces. You might be in that zone where something didn't go right. Very interesting, because there's a sort of an interesting resonance with reading number one. So if any of you have chosen both, then there will probably be, you'll understand the connection here. They are very different. But there is a disillusionment around you, and it's crazy, because in a way the disillusionment is now the bit that's holding you back. It's like it's stopping you from seeing your situation clearly. It's tangling you in the, you're being torn by past perspectives. And there is a need to break free here, okay? And I feel like somebody's about to offer you a ticket to something, okay? Now you may have, I'm going to draw some more cards here because this is really interesting. You see, we've got some really beautiful cards here. We have Page of Pentacles, Manifestation, Knight of Wands. This is about being out there, having fun, you know, doing the stuff. This is energy moving forwards. And the Ten of Swords is a completion of something. The slave dances into freedom. So what do you need to do right now to move this forwards? Four of Wands is a card of celebration. We have the card of devotion. I want to put this up here. Let's draw some more cards, reading number 2. Really, really curious about this. Because I feel like there's a tangling around you in some way. That tangling could be in your head, but it could also be the tangle of the restriction of a situation. What else are we shown here for reading number 2? We're asking reading number 2's higher self, you know, what guidance can be given to help them to know what to do to move this situation forwards. I'd like to know more about it, really. I'm feeling like I don't, really interesting, I feel like I don't quite know enough either. Right, here we go. So we have the Devil. Oh, wowza wow. Okay, we have the Devil, disillusionment. Out beyond wrong and right. Right, whether, reading number 2, whether this is a tangling in your head or a tangling with someone else, okay, it's like, for some of you, I think it's a tangling with someone else. Somebody is not being very honest or hasn't been very honest around you, and it's left you with a residue it's left you feeling kind of like, it's left you feeling tangled, disempowered, manipulated, ghosted maybe for some of you. It's like, or, you know, people are pulling your strings, telling you what to do. Now, this is very interesting. Page of Swords. Let's just show you the cards here. We have the Page of Swords. Okay. We have the King of Wands. Oh, do you know reading number 2? Devotion. I really see this here. I really do see this. I want to say you can't please all of the people all of the time. It's like there's been too many people, maybe that's exactly it, isn't it? Too many people trying to pull the strings, trying to be in charge of this situation. Too many people trying to tell you what to do, what you should and shouldn't do. You've literally been pulled in all sorts of different directions. But we have the Sun and the 7 of Cups. Excellent. This is choices, choices, choices. Okay. Now I think almost like secretly, I say secretly because for some of you it may be that you've had to almost like undercover, like within the safety of your own mind, you've been evaluating and working out what you need to do. You know how sometimes if there are people around us who are intrusive or manipulative, or maybe there's somebody quite narcissistic, do you know, one of the best ways of navigating that is not to give them any information, because any information they have about you means that they will try and use it to their advantage. So sometimes it's better that you don't share what you're thinking. But I do feel like there's someone around you with whom some of you have had quite a devotion. you know, almost like that sort of, I would liken it to that kind of parental influence where you really, really want to get it right for them because you really care about them. But actually, getting it right for them is in direct conflict with what's right for you. And your higher self is saying, look, it's time to fly. You know, get your ticket out of here. In fact, I think someone is going to give you a ticket out of here. We have the card of the Sun and we have the Seven of Cups. You have a lot more choice available to you than you realize. That's also what your higher self is saying here. Really important message here. So we're asking, I was kind of wanting to know a bit more about the situation here, because we're asking about a situation that will be unique to each of you. Now, I'm seeing you moving away. I'm seeing you, yeah, right. I'm seeing you in some kind of, it could be a social setting, but I'm seeing you finding a new opportunity, having a ticket to something. It's your passport out of a certain situation. There are people around you who feel like they know better. And I'm not saying that they're doing it with ill intent. Now, for some of you, it could be somebody, a narcissistic person, someone who's very controlling. And I'm not saying that there hasn't been some definite maneuvering and manipulation going on behind the scenes. Okay, someone trying to control the situation. I do think for some of you, they really, really believe they're doing what's right for you. Okay. But and I would say for others, there just has been somebody really manipulative, acting out behind the scenes, tying you up, keeping you trapped, holding you in circles, feeling like it's never ending, it's never going to shift. And, you know, we have this fight or flight situation, you know, do you fight or do you fly? And yet you feel like, for some of you, because it's someone you care about or you have a connection to, you feel like, actually, I made a commitment and therefore I shouldn't, and I ought to listen to these people. And it's just been going on for too long. That's what I want to say. And I'm sorry it's been going on. Whatever took you into this situation, there's too many people who think they know what's best for you here. Really, just too many people thinking they know what's right for you, and sort of denying you the opportunity to step up and do what is right for you. I think you have literally, some of you, retreated to that space within your own mind, that space of potential, that space of imagination, and you've held on to yourself within that. I mean, it's the one thing people cannot take away from us is our own mind. People cannot remove your passion. They can pull you in different directions, they can tie you in knots, but they cannot take away your personal capacity for creative thought. Okay, they just can't. Reading number 2. That has remained alive within you regardless of what is happening. And do you know, I feel like I need to take a big breath. I actually feel like for some of you, this has become really stifling. Okay. But you are starting to venture out. There's some stuff now, I don't know whether it's social or a working situation or but there is something where you are venturing out of the restrictions, even if it's only brief, whatever it is. You go to something or you do something. There's a class that you go to, something that you're starting to go to that has sort of been, I almost want to say allowed, which is a weird word to say, but I do feel there's been this essence of restrictiveness around you. And the problem is, the restrictiveness is to do with the needs of others. As I said, for some, it's there, it's just somebody being just manipulative, narcissistic, their needs take priority, you're only there in service of them as far as they're concerned. For others, honestly, it's been done unintentionally. It's people who believe they know what's best for you, but they're actually keeping you stuck. It's really, really clear. Now, your higher self is saying, look, there's going to be an invitation, an opportunity. Literally, you could get an email. Put Hagelas down here, the rune of Hagelas. Fight and flight. Look at this horse running away from the devil card. Yeah, the slave dances into freedom. You could get a message, it could be something in your inbox, it could be an opportunity to join a course, or to attend something, or go to a lecture, go to a course, belong to a group, go to a church, do something. Something is arriving in your world. For some of you, you may already know what it is, but it's something that's going to make your heart sing, and it's going to create the route, okay, that takes you out of this restrictive situation. That's going to be the route where you suddenly are able to cut the cords and find your way to a space of new beginnings, okay? The slave dances into freedom is literally, it's like the pathway is being opened for you to leave, I have to say, the toxicity of somebody else's control, okay? Now that control could be, as I said, for some of you, and I'm really sorry that that's happened, because it's just pretty rubbish, isn't it? If you meet someone who's very controlling, people who are controlling, narcissistic, are hugely difficult to navigate away from, because they're so good at manipulation. For some, as I said, it's just people who think they know best and are just constantly trying to control you. But this aspect of control is going to end. Your higher self is saying to you, look, it is going to end, and there is an opportunity coming. What you will need to do is take it. I'm going to draw some more cards. I'd like to know, can we have further advice? We've got a great result here, 4 of Wands, a celebration. So you'll see the way out is the answer. You're going to see the way out. But let us ask for more information and guidance for reading number 2 in terms of, you know, what will your higher self let you know about in terms of moving out of this situation, finding that route to freedom. What do you need to do to move this forwards? Okay. 5 of Cups, 9 of Cups. We have the High Priestess. We have the Queen, oh, I'm loving this, Queen of Swords. And the 9 of Wands. Beautiful. Okay, lovely. This is gorgeous. Okay, so reading number 2. What I want to say to you is, this situation is going to come to an end. This extreme level of control is all I can say. You know, if for some reason this is you being sort of almost like controlling your own mind, then, you know, something will happen to give you an opportunity to navigate out of that. But I have to say, I think really this reading for me is suggesting this is someone external or a group of people who have been controlling, they've been manipulating, they're not always honourable. I think they have quite a high opinion of themselves. It's really interesting. I think they honestly think that they really, really believe they're right. You know, it's just one of those situations where they think they're right, and it's like, you know, my way or the highway. It's time to cut loose from this, and actually something is going to be given to you. There will be an opportunity, and the moment it comes, you'll know. Now, you don't have to get into any conflict, okay? That's the advice here from your higher self. You don't have to strive to leave. You don't, there's not going to be a conflict, which some of you may be concerned about, because what's going to happen here is that an opportunity will be given to you that will mean you can, literally, you can move away from something. It's like there'll be a route, a pathway will open, a doorway will open. And you will absolutely know when it happens. So you don't have to create the doorway. That's what your higher self is saying. You don't have to force this. You know, just stay centered in a space of positivity and indeed I would say self-love. Hold on to your own inner sense of entitlement to make choices and decisions. You don't have to share them with this person. Vitality will come, and choices, there will be a choice and a decision available to you, and it's going to be, I feel it's going to be circumstantial. It's just going to be available for you. Trust your intuition here. You'll know exactly what that opening is, and when it comes, go for it. It's and you are offered such an opportunity to move forwards. It's just going to remove you. If you've got people who are controlling you because they think they know best, there will be an opportunity that gives you, it's like a space where you can go away and be acknowledged and validated independently in your own right. So you move out of that environment. You move away from that environment. The very nature of the pathway that will open for you will actually give you that ticket to freedom. It's literally going to give you headspace. There'll be an opportunity. You don't have to force it. That's what you're... So it's really interesting when we think about what you need to do right now. What you actually need to do right now is maintain your own inner headspace, knowing that very soon, if you know, literally very soon, an opportunity will come. It's literally going to arrive through the post, through an email. Something will come along and it will just open that doorway. There'll be an opportunity that takes you out of the current restriction and leads you to that pathway of success. And my goodness me, the success is there. It's like, oh, I feel like you can breathe a sigh of relief. And you can really, really start to find your own pathway rather than having to constantly fit with someone else. It's like moving out of a circumstance, moving out of a situation where somebody is constantly needing you to do it their way. This is such an interesting reading. And it is interesting when we're asking your higher self what to do, and your higher self is saying, actually, you don't need to force this. So in a way, the action is sort of like inaction or not taking action. The action comes when that doorway opens for you, when the opportunity arrives, and that you navigate it here and you navigate the current situation in exactly the same way you have already. You've just retained your own inner belief system that has not been depleted, even though there's been conflict and lots of maneuvering and bossiness and not nice stuff. By retaining your own inner sense of values, your own core values, you have retained who you are. And the moment that pathway opens, that opportunity, whatever it is for you, it's going to bring you back into balance really quickly. I mean, that's the amazing thing I see here in reading number 2. It's like whatever has been knocked out of balance will come back into balance really quickly. The moment that the influence of the excessive control is out of the way, everything will come back into balance and align really, really quickly. Wow, I feel like I want to follow this through with just a couple more cards for you, reading number 2, because I can see this has been feeling pretty powerful, you know, pretty powerfully, yeah, restrictive is just the right word, really. The Moon, illusion. 5 of Stars, diversity. Ten of Trees, loyalty. Isn't that interesting that we had devotion and loyalty? Really, really interesting cards here. Now, okay. What this is actually telling us, which is a really beautiful and helpful add-on here from your higher self, is remove any illusion. This comes back to that clarity of mind. Remove any illusion within you that you don't have the right to make your own choices, or that you can't make your own choices. There will be decisions available, opportunities. 7 of Cups here, 5 of Stars. There will be choices available to you. 10 of Trees, loyalty. It's time for you, and this is the most important message here of all, which is do what feels right for you. Stop trying to do that, pleasing everybody. I have to please everyone all of the time. And when that opportunity comes, do exactly what is right for you. It will remove you from the level of restriction and control that is currently around you. But there is an aspect where I think you've got so entrenched and so used to people making decisions for you that it's almost as if you've lost sight of your ability to make those choices for yourself. And that will be restored very quickly, I think, actually, reading number 2, with much coming to fruition. It's literally just shifting out of this space. Super Souls, I feel that we should now wrap this reading up. If this reading has resonated with you, if it's been helpful to you, it's a timeless reading. I'm putting it in the timeless readings playlist, and there are tons of readings in there, all answering very specific questions. I post readings every Sunday with weekly guidance, and information from your spirit team in terms of what they want you to know right now as you navigate your world. So Super Souls, if you'd like to get a notification of any of my readings, if you subscribe and press the little bell icon, they should come into your stream as soon as I upload them. Super Souls, really feel like this needs to break open, and I hear that it will do in a really lovely way, because I just think there'll be an offer, and you'll know, so the limitations around you will move, but the key here is loyalty to yourself, holding on to your own headspace, knowing that you need to do what's right for you at all costs, really. I'm going to wrap up this reading. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much to all of you who are supporting me on Patreon. I'm so grateful. I put so much free stuff into the world, and it really does help to maintain everything. I have a whole free library of resources to help with emotions, and there are meditations, all sorts of stuff there. If those kinds of things are resonating and of value to you, do check out. There's also meditations that help with emotional release, so might be helpful to you guys. The library is a completely free resource. I will put a link in the information box below, and again in the comments for phone users. But thank you to all of you who are supporting me through Patreon. Thank you to those of you who are giving back through the super chat in the comments, and just thank you to all of you just for being here and being a part of this amazing community. I mean, this level of life navigation is really about our soul's evolution, isn't it? I mean, this is the tough stuff of life, and your higher self is really really supporting you, really prioritizing you and your energy, and honoring your pathway and your right to step up and make choices and decisions for you. And it literally feels as though your spirit team are literally paving the way for an invitation to arrive, literally something that says, here you go, it's your ticket to freedom. Super Souls, I am just sending you the biggest hug in the world. You don't need to push to change. The invitation will come. You do need to then embrace it from the perspective of being loyal, absolutely 1000%, prioritizing your loyalty to yourself. Super Souls, tons of love. Thank you so much. And yeah, just sending you the biggest hug ever. Welcome to reading number 3. You have been drawn by the card She Rides with Wild Spirit Unbroken. We have the beautiful music notes and also the rune of movement. There is a lot of energy and moving forwards in this reading. Now, we're asking your higher self what you need to do, or what can you do right now in your current situation to move it forwards. I feel like there's something about this reading which is connected to sort of like singing your own song, being yourself. She rides with wild spirit unbroken. It's like nothing can break you, nothing can take away the very, very essence of who you are, regardless of what's going on around you. The rune of movement is the bettering of any situation. So let's move this card up here and we'll draw some oracle cards and some tarot cards and see what we're shown for reading number 3. I feel it's okay. I think this one too. This is your card. One, two hands. Gosh, I just think all these need to come. And those two. And we'll just draw a last oracle as well. Okay, let's see where we are. Okay, so you have the unknown. It's your first oracle card. And you also have the card of laughter. This is lovely. Mid-heaven, pinnacle. Okay. And you have the card of the whale. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. The whale song. Whales sing. They sing to awaken the song lines, actually. I think rather like Aboriginals who walk the song lines. Whales, also I have been told, travel the song lines in order to keep the energy alive. There's something about your spirit here, which is, I won't say coming into its own, but there's something about your spirit cannot be broken here. Whatever your situation, it's coming to a head, a pinnacle. There's a moment where you're at a point in time when something is about to shift. It's about to move forwards. It's about to, it's about to get better. You need to sing. You need to either have a voice or sing to the, like walking to the beat of your own drum. It's got that flavour about it. Let's have a look at your tarot cards. So you have the Two of Wands. Okay, so we're looking ahead. Knight of Wands. The World, again, completions. This is lovely. Something is coming or has already reached a point. It's reached a point where there's a kind of a conclusion has been come to about something. Now you have choices, Seven of Cups. You have the Nine of Swords, and you have the Lovers. Okay. And the Lovers is primarily a card of choice as well. Now we're asking your higher self, what can you actually do, or what do you need to do right now to move your situation forwards? What I feel at the moment is something has come, I want to say come to its natural conclusion. I don't know that it's necessarily been easy for you, okay? You've been involved in something or a situation where you didn't really feel like you had your voice fully. That's what I'm really seeing. And it caused you quite a lot of grief. There's been a lot of deliberation, toing and froing. What do you do next? If anything, I think something has actually come to a conclusion. The situation that's come to a conclusion was right to end. That's what I feel very strongly, because it was stopping you from looking ahead. It was actually stopping you from fully emerging, fully being yourself. But the thing is, now you're faced with stepping into the unknown. What I feel is that something something's come to a head or reached its conclusion, and you thought it was going to be permanent, or you thought it would work out, but it didn't, you know. Whatever that situation for you, whatever that situation was, you couldn't fully express yourself. You couldn't walk to the beat of your own drum. You couldn't sing your own song. You couldn't be fully yourself. You couldn't, you couldn't express yourself. And a part of you in this situation, I think, was longing to. It's kind of, you know, it's one of those really interesting scenarios when we don't really want to let go of something, because there was possibly quite a bit of, you know, for some of you, maybe it really wasn't an okay situation completely, but some of you, it's what I would call one of those situations which was okay enough. Almost, you know, when you sort of tolerate something, you stay with it because it's not all bad, but it isn't really good either. It's not nurturing, it's not fostering you. There's some aspect of your world that just, for some of you, you really were literally suppressed, shut down, couldn't move, couldn't sing, couldn't laugh, couldn't dance. And now you're facing an unknown space of how to move forwards without this connection or this circumstance, because it took a lot to move, or it's come to its head. It's come to its pinnacle point. This reading is all about you coming alive again. Okay, it's like you, she rides with wild spirit unbroken. Now, the energy is completely with you to move this forwards. It's time to look ahead. You were kind of shut down. You couldn't express yourself. For some, it was a very rigid situation, I think. But for others, in fact, for some, it was a very rigid circumstance. For others, it was something that was sort of, you know, when we kind of, what's that saying? Rub along nicely. We kind of rub along nicely, but we're not fully alive. We're not fully, things are ticking over, and we're going through the motions, and it's not really bad, but we're not fully alive within it. For some, it was like that, I think. For others, you may also have been locked into some kind of an internal pattern which you've carried with you, which is stopping you and has stopped you and is stopping you from being able to move into the unknown. It's almost like you lock yourself into a process of procrastination, or you know, some aspect of inner thinking that is blocking you and stopping you. You know, you go over and over and over things. That Nine of Swords energy of actually it's kind of time to transform, to stop, to let go of all the doubts and embrace that pathway of light that says, actually, this is a new beginning. I don't have to be afraid of the new beginning. There's an unknown quantity around you. You are being asked to kind of literally laugh. Stand back and laugh at this. Or go out and do stuff that makes you laugh, rather than constantly going over and over the choices or the potentials that are there, because everything that's a choice is unknown to us. You know, we don't know even the stuff that you think is really certain. This is human, isn't it? Everything that we think is really certain, kind of, you know, when you get there, you could plan your day with the most intricate detail and have everything in place, and then something can come along completely unexpectedly. So nothing ultimately is certain. I think sometimes we have a need for certainty. When we begin things that are new, we really want to feel certain that they're going to work out before we invest in them. You know, we're fearful, especially if things have been, when we've had some ups and downs in life. It's so natural, isn't it, to just be fearful that something new, stepping into the unknown, won't work out. So, you know, do we run with it or not? Do we invest in it or not? You're being asked to approach this pinnacle moment in your world with laughter, joy. I want to say risk something, have fun, take a chance. Quite interesting energy around you. I'm going to draw some more cards actually for you. Reading number 3. Forgiveness of ourselves. This is telling us so much. When something goes wrong, even if the circumstances were out of our control, or we did the very best that we could possibly do, we can still carry guilt after the event. The gift of guilt is to help us to learn and to develop a conscience, not to carry as a ball and chain for the rest of our lives. Listen to the learning and forgive yourself for not being perfect. Release any guilt today. So whatever's come to a head, I feel like you guys are in danger perhaps of going down that internal route of, you know, when you go over and over and over and you think, what did I do wrong? Could I have done it differently? There's value in looking at what we can do differently, especially if a pattern repeated itself, but not in a critical way, not in a way that picks yourself to pieces, okay? Because that's unhelpful. I feel like your higher self is saying to you, and it's very interesting, I feel like at the moment in this reading so far, there are two things that you can very clearly do to move your situation forwards. So the first is to stop picking yourself to pieces, to stop analysing, stop over-analysing the situation, and to stand back and laugh about it, okay? Stop giving yourself a hard time, because it's like that mental noise is almost blocking you from being able to move forwards. We're going to draw more cards and see what opportunities are going to be brought to you, and how this is going to unfold. But I do feel that the first reference point you have is to stop picking yourself to pieces, because in a way it's like if somebody has, or a circumstance or a situation has limited your ability to be you and your ability to sing your own song, picking yourself to pieces is actually going to continue to limit your horizons, because you'll feel blocked and stifled and unhappy. So something has come to a head, it's reached a turning point that I feel like there's no going back on this one. I love this sort of, almost feel like this flag is pointing the direction, the Two of Wands, looking ahead. Your higher self says this is time to look forwards, not back. You've revisited too much already, okay? It's time to sing your own song. Let go of this. Time to move forwards. Release yourself from any of the retribution. I'm going to place this card here and I'm going to put this one on top, okay? It's time to sing your own song. Unquestionably. Whatever came to a head, you know, I think it had to, because if it hadn't reached that point, you know, this is an ending and a new beginning, you would have continued to be stifled, and it would have fueled your difficult feelings about yourself, and it would have fueled your fears about making the wrong, I think you know, say fueled your fears about making the wrong decision, but there's this lack of self-belief that got contributed to within this situation. It almost, I think, tapped you into maybe some childhood stuff that was there for you. It's time to embrace the unknown with curiosity and laughter and looking ahead, not looking back. It's like realigning your energy here. Now, I think choices are going to be made available to you. The two things to do, your higher self is saying really, is it's like shifting your own energy. Stop giving yourself a hard time and be prepared to embrace the unknown, but in a kind of a joyous, curious way without being fearful. You know, without going over and over and over. I really do think, you know, the two things that are certain in our lives from the moment that we are born, the two things that are certain are death and uncertainty. You know, we're all going to pass away at some point, and we will live with, there will be uncertainty because we cannot control everything. And we start things, it's like if you've had relationship difficulties, things came to a head and you're anxious about starting again, for example, and the Lovers can indicate relationship choices. It is a card fundamentally of choice in every aspect of a reading. But if you are, it means that now you're worrying about making choices, about meeting new people, about taking a risk in case the same thing happens again. the more you worry, in a way, the more you're putting those thoughts and that energy into the world. And, you know, if you think about it, when we're thinking about something constantly, energetically, we're potentially attracting that to us. So your higher self is saying, look, let's shift this energy. Look ahead, not backwards. There's going to be choices available to you. Seven of Cups is a card of choice. The Lovers is a card of choice. There's anxiety, worrying about making the right choice here. But your higher self says, stop picking yourself to pieces. Stop feeling like you got it wrong in the past or something didn't work out. Let all that go. You've learned. You're older, you're wiser. You know, it's time to embrace the unknown with laughter, joy and curiosity, like the curiosity of a child. Wow. Okay. These are going to be the cards we're using for clarification here. Okay, we're asking about reading number 3. Wow, King of Swords. Okay, we have the, look at this, King and Queen of Swords together. Wow. And then we have the Queen of Wands here too. Goodness me, wow. We have, okay, I'll stop exclaiming and actually get to it. King of Swords, Queen of Swords, 3 of Swords, Page of Swords and the Queen of Wands. This is beautiful. This is lovely. So your higher self is saying, look, this situation is going to move forwards. You're going to come alive again. This is time to sing your own song, walk to the beat of your own drum. That's unquestionable. And whatever your circumstance, whatever the situation that you have been asking about today, something in that situation stopped you from being able to be fully yourself. And the time has come to change that. Part of the changing of that is letting go of internal patterns of thinking that sabotage your opportunity, letting go of the essence of whatever it was that came to a head. The turning point is here. Now, if this is a relationship issue, which for some of you it may be, you're being asked to approach this with fresh new eyes, okay? Lean into the learning. The Page of Swords always talks about the learning. And the Queen of Wands, I always feel it's one of the most glorious cards of manifestation. Now, really interesting, we have this King of Swords and Queen of Swords. Look at the way she's looking back. I mean, she looks actually, if I'm truly honest, she looks really quite grumpy. Okay? You know, here she is. She's sitting there. She's looking back at the King of Swords here. You know, he's really a bit stuck. Okay? Very interesting. On her throne here, just behind her, there's a little face in here. Now, just in this particular reading today, this is really reminding me of the sun, the energy of the sun, the energy of creativity. We have the sun here, the unknown. And in laughter, we almost have the sun being shown as rising here, like a new dawn. You know, the imagery here is, it's almost as though the circumstance you were in, it weighed you down to the point where you forgot. It's like you forgot how to laugh. And I'm not saying we shouldn't be serious. We shouldn't be taking things seriously. Of course we should. It's very important that we approach our lives from a position of responsibility and so on and so forth. And it's when people don't take responsibility for things that things can feel really difficult for everyone around them. But I feel like you've carried more than your fair share of responsibility for a situation, way more than your fair share. And either the circumstance, someone or people around you were really quite controlling, set in their ways, causing you to, again, feel grumpy and stuck and causing you to feel restricted. And yet you never lost that spark. Look at the top of that sword here. There's this beautiful little star. You never quite lost the spark of you. You may have lost sight of the spark of you, or you may have felt that, the circumstances, the situation, the energy of those people either depleted. You may even have had to have hidden the spark of you. But that's coming to an end. And your higher self is saying, look, this is well and truly over now. This is well and truly over. It came to a head. You are at this turning point. It's now time for you to stop ruminating over it. Move yourself forwards. You've learned from this situation. And now you can step into this gorgeous space of manifestation. The Page of Swords brings new learning, new opportunity. The Page is a lovely energy of promise. You know, the Page of Swords is, let's get really clear from the situation about all of the essence of who you are and the essence of what was missing in that situation, not in a sort of a going over and over and wishing it had been there, but recognizing what was missing, because that is what you now need to plant into your manifestations for the future. So we have now 3 kind of moves forwards that your higher self is saying. Number 1, stop giving yourself a hard time, stop picking yourself to pieces. Number 2, laugh about this situation, shift the energy, look forwards, not back. And within this situation, it's like embrace the learning, but use this learning. And this is the 3rd bit. You could almost like write a page of opposites. So if you had, let's say you had a journaling page in front of you, you might draw a line down the middle, write down the list of things that were not present in that situation. So if you were feeling stifled, your creativity, for example, was stifled, that means on the left hand side, on the right hand side of that line, in terms of your manifestations and your intentions and your wishes and your desires, I need creativity in my life. You know, if you felt your voice was stifled, if that was, say, a relationship, one of your key components in your relationship is, I need to have a voice, or my voice needs to be welcomed. My voice needs to be heard, welcomed, appreciated. So you're finding what you do want out of what you don't want. Okay, so it's like it's a very pragmatic exercise, but there's a lot of pragmatic energy here. The Swords energy is all about thinking. So you can really take control here of the circumstances and really start to manifest what you do want through the learning. So really good exercise. So your higher self is really saying to you, look, you can embrace this turning point, step into the unknown without anxiety and without fear, but step into the unknown by planting seeds of intent and seeds of manifestation. And you're planting those seeds very, very actively through this sort of process of, if that's a negative, I want the opposite. There's such an empowered shift in the energy. When we go over and over something, it's like, oh, I wish that had been there. I can't believe he, she, they did that, or can't believe I thought that was the job of my dreams, and actually it was so stifling, or whatever it was. Locate the specifics with very clear intent, write them down. So you are literally, if I didn't have that, that's what I do want. The more clear that list is, the more you've literally shifted the energy, and you're then inviting the universe to bring those very things that you desire, need and want in order to sing your own song, for your spirit to fly into you know, a new space of evolution, a new chapter, whether this is within relationship or any other situation in your life. Whatever that situation is, the shift is here right now, and your higher self is saying, take charge of it. Really take charge of it. Let go of those fears. And that's really, I think, very clear guidance for you, reading number 3. Super Souls, if this reading has resonated with you, I feel it's come to its natural completion with advice and guidance from your higher self. If this is resonating with you and you'd like to get notification of any of my readings, if you subscribe and press the little bell icon, they should come into your stream. And for anyone that is already a part of this amazing community. Thank you so much for liking, sharing, following, subscribing. If you're on my subscriber email list, watch out, I'll be announcing the winners soon of my monthly prize draw. If you're new to my channel and new to the Moon Magic channel, I give away a free private reading and a pack of the Art of Manifestation Oracle cards every month, and so I announce the winners usually on a Sunday. I post readings every Sunday for weekly guidance, a moon forecast on Fridays, so just shed loads of stuff. Super Souls, any relevant links that might be helpful or useful, you know, resources that I put into the world, I'll put in the information box and the comments for phone users, so do check those out. I have a whole free online library full of resources too, so just check out the comments and the, you know, the information box, and it's all there for you if you wish to access any more stuff, including actually the Timeless Readings playlist that answers very direct questions. There's a ton of readings that I'm building all the time, and keep coming up with your suggestions. If you have a question and you'd like me to do a reading about it, put it in the comments. I can't answer and respond to all your comments, but I do read them, I do look at those questions, and I do make a note of them, and when the timing is right, I will do those readings for you. Super Souls, tons and tons of love. And oh gosh, lastly, thank you to those of you who are supporting me on Patreon. I'm so grateful. It's just lovely to get to have that extra level of support, and also for those of you who give back through the thanks, the super thanks in the comments. But just thank you all. You are amazing. You know, these readings are really about soul growth, and it just feels such a privilege to read for you all. It really does. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Tons of love to you all.